Oh, my MC. Jeez, I forgot.
How far do you want that heated?
We're very lucky to have.
I only need to heat like the first inch and a half.
Don't forget your iron. After Monica is the group project, and then the icebreaker, and then
my
supper. So please join me in welcoming Monica Coyne.
Thank you. Good job. Thank you. Well, I'm really happy to be here. You guys have an amazing place, beautiful country, and this shop and everything. You're really lucky. My background is in industrial arts, and my originally.
A little louder.
Can you hear me?
No, no speaker. There's no speaker.
Oh, okay. Oh, that changes things. Yeah.
That's for the video.
Talk louder. Okay, yeah, so my background's in industrial arts, and woodworking is what I originally studied. And industrial arts really has nothing to do with art. It's all about making things. And so that's, most of my background is in that, and I never considered myself an artist. I just considered myself a craftsperson. But then actually pretty late in life, when I was 44, I discovered blacksmithing. And that just changed everything for me. It was the medium for me, And so it just totally rocked my world. And so, but still, because of my background in industrial arts, I still really love to make things, and I love to make things that work and fit together, and so that's why I've spent a lot of my time on joinery. And because I was a woodworker, a lot of the joinery I was familiar with was wood joinery. But now that I'm really into how metal moves. I mean, it's just such an incredible thing. And so going from wood, where you really cut everything, to metal, where I'm trying to cut as little as possible and just move the metal into, still creating a joint that works. So we can pass these around. This was based on the idea of a dovetail joint in wood. And I can explain this to you later, how this process works. But this is what I came up with in trying to transfer that process in wood to the medium of forging metal. And then if I'm working on a joint, I keep thinking about it and trying to change it. And so actually the original was just these two pieces. And then I thought, oh, well, if I cut myself a groove in the back, I could make it into a 3-piece joint, which when you get to the place where you're making tables or railings or functional pieces, then instead of having 3 spots that are joined together, you suddenly have 4 places. So I'll just pass this around. And then in my journey with the dovetail journey, so that was done as a single dovetail. Then I went to, in wood, when you never see a single dovetail. You see multiple dovetails in a drawer. You've seen that. And so, it's like, well, I need to be able to do dovetails together, multiple dovetails. And I haven't quite got to where I'm happy with the outcome, but this is an example of where I'm at. And basically when I make the dovetail joint, what I'm not happy about with this piece is when you make when you make the dovetail joint, this portion right here is a really nice mound. It's really beautiful, it's just a really pleasing shape. But to get that mound to fit into this flat was a battle, and I made a bunch of tools to mount this flat, but I just couldn't get them. So then with this one, I just heated it up and put it under the power hammer and was like, oh, okay. So with wood joinery, when I was doing woodworking, I was really enamored with Japanese joinery. And, but I kind of have a battle going on in my mind with simplicity and Japanese joinery. But Japanese joinery is not simple, so it's kind of like, but this is an example of a Japanese joint. It's a Kanawa joint made in wood, and the same thing. A Kanawa joint is cut, and using this in metal, I used the fly press and I tried to forge it as much as possible. I did chisel. There is some chiseling done in here, you know, like if you would make an animal head or something, that type of work in doing that, which is kind of more tedious work than I like to do. But so, you know, if I could think of a way to do this joint in a simpler fashion, you know, or if anybody else could, that I would enjoy that. But this was really fun to do, and it's a really good solid joint. And so, so that joint takes quite a bit more time than was allotted in this time setting here. When I demonstrated at Vista in California in April, and I did a sundial with Daniel Miller and Brett Moten, and it was just a really fabulous experience. But we each did 2 joints in that sundial, and so I did that joint and then this joint. So what the thought for this joint was, in wood, I don't know, you know when they have a piece of wood that has a crack in it, and you'll see they'll put a butterfly joint between the 2 parts of the crack, and it's a decorative piece, but it also holds the pieces together. So I was thinking, well, that's cool. That's a simpler joint. Try that in metal. And so I only got to half the butterfly joint. And I made this one and I drifted a hole there and then cut it so that I had the opening on the bottom. But it wasn't stable enough to be a removable joint. So I upset the end and made it just a solid joint. But I wanted to make that as a removable joint. And so that's what I've been working on. That's what I'm going to do today. So I better get started. We have an hour and a half today, right? And then more tomorrow. So yeah, just keep that out. So I do some focus layout before I do anything. And so that's what I'm going to do here. So if you want to hold this for me. Yeah. And I do use a square. Oops. Step over this one.
What? Just step to your left, please.
Right.
Sure. Like that?
Perfect.
Huh?
He wanted to get your backside.
I know. Can you work that way?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I use a square and a scribe, and I try and keep things, you know. The thing with metalwork that I've noticed is if you start off, it gets worse. So, you know, start as tight and clean and on the mark as you can possibly get. You can talk amongst yourselves.
The welders say measure with mics, mark it with chalk, and cut it with a torch.
Yeah. Okay, and flip it over. So what I'm going to make first is the actual tenon part of the joint. So of this, it's similar to this, so I'm making this piece. And it's pretty simple. It's just made by butchering in on the fly press, both sides. But I found, and so you're butchering in and then you're coming down from above. And whenever you work metal this direction and then that direction, you run into the problem of cold shuts. And so that's what I've been working with, trying to figure out how to make this joint easier to make without causing any cold shuts. And so I'm still working on it, so no guarantees. But I did change the butcher to, it's basically a side set, so that I'm moving the material away in both directions, which moves the material away so there's less material to fold over. So,
Monica,
yeah.
the cold shunt occurs at the apex of
the two, the forging this direction and this direction.
right, but it occurs in that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Okay, flip it over. Let's flip it over again. So I like to make a pretty deep, wide groove so that I can index in the fly press. So I'm not worrying about seeing it so much as feeling it. And I'm also only going, another thing that I found with making that part is that if you take it over and you butcher it all the way across, and then you come back and you push the metal this way, your butcher line, the moves down because you're moving that metal, spreading that metal into the space where the line is. So then you no longer have a straight line. So now I'm doing it halfway back, and then doing my cutting it out, and then. So, any questions?
Yeah, could you elaborate a little bit on doing the halfway?
Yeah.
Or will we see it?
No, you probably won't see it. So where's that piece?
Which one you need?
That one, yeah. So what I'm going to be doing is butchering the whole piece of bar, right?
Right.
And then butchering in at an angle this way to free up a tenon. So I'm basically making a perpendicular tenon to the bar, right? And the tenon is half a butterfly shape, right? So I'm going to butcher this way, and then I'm going to butcher down into the bar about halfway, right? So before, when I butchered all the way across and then butchered in halfway, the material that I displaced by butchering in halfway pushed this line into the other, it made it so it wasn't straight, right? So now I'm going only halfway down with my butchers. I'll come in and butcher it this way, And then I'll go back and butcher the rest of it this way. But you'll see. I'm going to do it 4 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. It's only one.
Where my gloves are. Oh, there. I got them. So you're ready with that one?
Yep.
Okay, do we have a brush? A mini brush.
You need help over there?
That's fine. Sure. Here, pull this way. Okay. Okay, so I basically am just setting my mark there so that I know I'm on. And I'll take a second heat to get down to where I want to get to. And that's, I mean, you always hear, people are always, how many heats, you know? How many heats did you do that with? And I've kind of let that go because if I'm trying to be accurate, lots of times I have to take more heats, you know, just to figure out where I'm going and not screw up, you know.
Monica, what's the degree angle on your fly press?
It's on my butcher. My butcher is 33 degrees, or between 30 and 35. I think mine's at 33. And, you know, it's variable. It doesn't have to be exact on that.
Do you use those same ones for the dovetail too, or no?
No, the dovetail is different. Yeah. Yeah. So we can, let's use this
Yeah.
one too.
Okay. You don't need to mark that one at all?
It's marked, right? Yeah, I marked it.
Okay.
It's marked. Yeah, so the dovetail is a totally different process also. Let's see, it's a dovetail. The difference between this joint and a dovetail is this joint is angled like a butterfly wing, but it's straight up and down. A dovetail joint is a compound angle, right? So it has an angle this way and it has an angle this way. And so to do that, I tried and tried and tried for years and years to figure out how to do that. Chiseling it back into itself, you know, and upsetting it and pushing it into itself. And finally it dawned on me that if I bent the bar and chiseled straight down, I could get this angle when I straightened the bar out, you know. So I bent the bar and cut the first angle straight down and then straightened the bar out, and there I have the double angle, and it worked really well. I need some water.
When you bent the bar over and pressed it, did you press out a slug
For the dovetail?
when you opened it back up?
No. No, it's a, so I. What? I'm talking about the female. So I knew I should have brought my storyboard.
There is a one with whiteboard.
Oh, what?
There's the whiteboard.
Oh, yeah, the whiteboard, yeah. Okay, so we better take those out for a minute.
There's a marker on the fly press.
Okay, so you have a piece of square bar, And I would mark my first angle. Oh yeah, I need one. Sweet.
We forgot to rock up tomorrow.
Yeah? So I mark my first angle on the bar straight. I just mark it. I'm not doing anything to it, just marking it. And then I bend this bar over. I took a 2.5-inch round and made myself a swage that I have a hardy on the end of my anvil here that hangs out over the horn, and so it makes it so I'm not working on an angled horn, which is really helpful. Somebody mentioned that to me when I was showing them how to do it, and I was like, thank you. So you bend the bar, and you have your marks here, right? And I take a butcher, and I do it with striking and a handheld butcher, and you butcher down into the bar, straight down, like this, right, on either side. And as you butcher, it spreads apart, right? And so then I built a little tiny flatter. That's a triangular flatter. And so I take that little flatter, and so I'd butcher halfway down, because I'm also trying to avoid cold shuts all the time. So I'd butcher halfway down, then flatter at that depth, then butcher all the way down, and flatten at that all the way down. And then you have basically the female part of the joint, but the walls are straight, but the bar is curved. So then when you straighten out the bar, it brings the walls in. And it works, it's super slick, works really good. It's one of those joints that you don't really, I mean, every now and then you have to file a little bit, but it's lots of times you can get by doing it without filing. Okay. Okay, hang on. That's plenty. Okay, don't help me.
Okay.
Right there, thank you. Okay, cool, good. So because I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna do the side setting or butchering again after I cut it, I'm not going as deep as the bottom of this tenon is going to be. I'm leaving some space because I'm going to come back in and butcher it again. So I want to leave some room. And in this case, I'm just eyeballing it, you know. I'm bringing it to about 3/8 is what I'm looking for. So we can leave this one out for now. Any more questions?
What will your finished tenon thickness be?
The
You're
thick,
at 3/8 now, roughly.
yeah.
And what are you finishing at?
Oh,
About a quarter?
yeah, between 3/8 and a quarter.
Okay.
I mean, I just do, because I have the shoulder to bring down, and I bring it down to my 3/8, but I know that I'm going to lose a little bit. I want to try and keep it at 3/8, but you know, oftentimes, because this one's already 3/8 and I'm coming at it, I might lose a little bit, so I'd rather be fat than thin. So, there. So this is what I'm going to be making, and Rachel and I are doing our collaborative sculpture. And so, do you got to wait a minute to go? Are we kind of cold there? Oh, we're close. Okay. So you can feel it just index into the line. You try and keep it straight. Okay, we'll heat that up again. Thank you. And so we were talking for a long time about, oh yeah, we should collaborate. That'd be really cool, you know. And then it got down to like the last week, or close, and so which is really cool because we're bringing a lot of our own styles into the collaboration. You know, we didn't really blend. We kind of each are making our own piece in our own style and then putting them together, which is really cool because, you know, our styles are fairly different. So I think that it's going to be really cool. They're going to complement each other really well. And so what I'm making this is a piece of bar. So I'm basically, the idea of this piece, I'm doing a series of pieces based on the idea of steps, because I just think that I'm always trying to find images or think of images that are familiar to people and that have some kind of meaning to people. And to me, steps and stairs are just one of those images. You know, you're always taking the next step, and you don't always know where you're going in that next step. So to me, it's just a really exciting form to work with. And so so that's what these are, is steps. And so this is basically this bar, unaffected. I'm not going to do anything to it but punch the receiving hole for the joint in the end. And then these pieces will be these are the risers in the steps, right? So this will fit in. That's the male of that joint. This is the male of that, and they'll all come apart. They all come apart and go together. And so what's cool is it's narrow, and Rachel is going to provide the weight and the width at the back of the base with her freaking amazing thing here. So that will, you know, and this is going to come up and over and that's going to provide the weight for this. So then this will come up here and go up and out like that, and this will come up and over. Thanks, James. Put it here. Okay, so there's the same process, the second piece. Okay, so we'll start heating these up again. So I only have one power hammer, and it's not a really huge power hammer. I have a big blue, but we're way back on a dirt road with a really crazy, gnarly driveway, and I just finally gave up the idea that, you know, I need a really big power hammer, because I really don't, because I don't really want to do really huge stuff, you know. So my big blue is awesome. It works really great for me. But I do have 2 fly presses. And so I'm going to change out the tooling. And it's just, when I originally got 2 fly presses, I was like, is this excessive, you know? But it's not. It's amazing how much time it saves you. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's good. Thank you. So the great thing about a fly press is it has these stops you can set, so you can be really accurate. And if you're doing something and you're running back and forth and you're doing multiple pieces, if you set that stop, it's great. That's like one of the major values of a fly press. I'm not going to set it here because I'm switching out and I'd have to reset, and so we're just going to hope for the best. But ready? Oh, actually, I forgot. I got it. So I am going to mark this first. So you can hold this for me on the anvil. Same thing. Whenever I go to the fly press, I try and make myself an index. Okay, so up on the end. Yeah. That's good. That's it.
Heat it up again?
Yeah. Any more questions? Or? What? Y2? They are different sizes, but I guess I should get back in there. They are different sizes, but it's basically so that you can set up 2 different tooling and run production, basically. And I don't really do production, but you're always doing some kind of production. And sometimes the setup is really different. Like if you're drifting, and you have a plate and strippers and everything, it's a lot of effort to change that out to another tool, you know. So it's way nicer to be able to leave it and have a second fly press. Ready? Yeah. Am I taking your job?
Do what?
Am I taking your job?
You need to hold it again, or it's going to be pressed?
No, it's good. I'm going. So I'm only going to go down about 1/4 of an inch to start, because this is how I'm trying to avoid hold shut. My fly press it'll stop right there. So I always bring, but this one won't do that. Okay, let's see. So I'm just gonna bring it a little bit down, and then I actually didn't go far enough. I'm gonna go further down, and then I'm gonna go back to the side sets again, because it's this material that I've pushed into the joint that's gonna cause a problem if I don't get it out of the way. So we can do the second one too. We can do both of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I need to hit that one again. So that's because
It's just relief, essentially, right?
huh?
It's just relief in a sense,
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, and this, I mean, this joint is still being figured out, you know. I mean, I would like to get to a place where I could do it way quicker in one move, you know. But that's my process, is to figure out how to get it to work and then go back and try and figure out how to make it work, you know, faster. Is that the one?
Yeah, this is the one.
That's the one? Okay. It's beautiful. You can tell I'm not used to having somebody in the shop.
Do you want me to hold out when you turn?
No, I'm okay. Okay, so now I have this little notch started. You want it on the anvil? And if I had two fly presses, I could just take it over and I'd still have my side set on the other one and get in there. It just makes it really nice for cleaning things up. So, yeah, I didn't, getting into blacksmithing really made me start thinking about how what I'm doing is affected by the world around me and myself. And so it just kind of opened this whole world of art, you know. And I don't really understand the art world because I have not had any training in it whatsoever. But I'm starting to understand where I want to go, and the idea of trying to observe things that we all commonly observe and feelings that we all have, and trying to be able to show those in a three-dimensional piece. And that's the thing that's really hard to do. You're not using words, So what I try and do, basically, some of my pieces are, it's observation, but then it's also intention and thought about, what you want to say in your piece. Okay, I need this. Sorry, that one just gotta wait.
Oh, this
Yeah,
is one
'cause
here.
I'm- yeah,
I'm sorry.
that's okay. I didn't tell you. And that I don't know why I've been it's been 14 years. I've been trying to figure out why iron was just grabbed me so much, and I don't know, but carbon and iron, they're everywhere. It's everywhere. Carbon is like the most common element in the universe, and iron is like the fourth most common element on Earth, and our bodies are made up of a huge amount of carbon and iron, and trees, and so it's like the shapeshifter of the planet, So that's all I can guess, is that's why I can't stop doing it. Okay, we're gonna mark it.
Huh?
We're gonna mark it. Talk too much and I don't know what I'm doing. And where's my chisel? Okay, that's good. Who could tell? Wait. They're my cute audience. Oh, my.
The flower, we'll find another flower, but your name tag,
Oh.
you need that for your dinner.
Oh, yeah, I do. And so I remember my name. We ready? Thank you. That's great. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the other side set tools.
The
Yep.
opposite one? Which one you want?
Both of them need to go in, so either one is great. gonna lower it down a little. That's good. Okay, can you bring it all the way? But hold, I think it'll stop. Yeah. That's good. Ready? Yep. Either one. Okay. Okay, that's good. So I'm just going back into the same place that I already went and pushing down the excess material that I pushed up with the butcher. So I just pushed this material back in there, and I'm going to go back and butcher it again. It's tedious. Is this one ready? No. Hit me when you're ready.
Okay. Okay.
Part of when I design something, I like to draw. I always draw everything when I design a piece, and because I like to draw it from all angles, because it makes a huge difference. A piece can be really appealing from one angle, and for me, I want it to be totally different from the side, you know. So I draw it from all angles and from the top too, so I can. So let me see, was that one?
No?
That one ready? I'm just wondering, was it, this was the second one? Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure I did them both. They're kind of hard to tell.
One's red and one's white, so I don't know if that'll help.
Oh, okay.
Right here.
Awesome. So we did, yeah, okay, cool. So we did them both on that round? Okay. So now I'm going to switch back to the butcher. Where's my...
Take the other one?
Yep, I'll need the other one too. I'll let you go. Okay, bring her down. Okay, hang on a minute.
Oh.
Bring it down, go ahead. Up a little. Down? Okay. Go again. Good, good. Cool. So I'm just eking my way down. Ready?
You begin thinking about doing the dovetails and the joinery and the steel?
What?
When did you begin thinking about doing that?
Well, it's because I had done dovetails in wood, and the dovetail is just, I mean, when I was doing woodworking, and I think everybody is told, you know, is it a good piece of furniture? Well, look and see if there's dovetails on the drawer, you know, because that is a sign of quality work. And so I've always really loved the dovetail for that reason, and so I wanted to take it to blacksmith. Huh?
How many years ago was that?
Did I do woodwork? Was I?
No, when you started to try and figure out.
Oh, the dovetail. That was, I don't know. Well, I did it many years. I don't know, 5 years. On and off, you know, thinking about it. I'll let you run that. That was great. Hang on a minute. Let me get it in there. Okay, go. There you go. A little more. Good. Good. Okay. So also, when you're butchering this, you start to push that tenon away. You can see. And if you butcher all the way down, you're going to flop that thing right out. And so you want to keep. I come back and side set it, and that pushes it back into place a little bit. And then I can come back and butcher it again without sending my thing dangling out. Oh. Oh, there. Okay, now I'm switching.
Do what?
Switching dies again.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm gonna switch the dies again. This is why I have 2 fly presses. Oh, I'm off again. Here, can I get you to help me? Let's see.
First, this is kind
Yeah, let me see what's under there.
of flat.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Yeah. There we go. I got it. Okay. Good. Oh, sorry.
Okay. See, that hot enough?
Yep. Okay, and I just am touching. What's that done? Okay, that's good. Jesus. I don't know if you can see in there, but you can see how there's still some indentation, but it's definitely taking out some of the danger of a cold shunt. This one, ready? Okay, we're gonna switch back to the butcher again. It's gonna be a minute. I'm switching again. Lots of times I work on a joint. I get all excited about working on a new joint, and I'll work on it for a long time and try and figure it out, and then it's like, well, what are you gonna do with it? You gotta make it into something, and that's fun too. And I'm definitely, it's just always a learning process of, how do you get a specific joint to flow into a certain piece. We should have done this after lunch when you're all tired. Give it. Okay. Go ahead. Bring it down. Yep. Hang on. Whoop, whoop. Okay, go. One more. Good. So we're. What? Oh. Hang on, let me check this one. Wait. Okay, what? Down a little bit. There you go. Go. Go again. One more. Okay, good. Let's see, I'm gonna look at. Okay. Switch again. One last time. What did I do with the- It's hot.
Using this again?
Am I lined up there?
It's right there.
Okay, go ahead and put that clamp on.
They're terrible.
Okay. Thank you. So of course, there's a lot of ways to do this. I mean, you could use a butcher with a striker and work your way down, you know, and use side sets, and you don't have to use a fly press. So is that second one ready?
Not quite.
Okay. You're on it.
Well, you've got the accuracy on there, though. You've got the
Yeah,
accuracy on the fly
right,
press, but
right.
you've got two different issues going on when you strike.
Right. Yeah, totally. No, that's why I didn't decide to do that. It was hard to control. But if you, I don't know, if you did it a bunch of times, you might be able to get it wired. But yeah, that's, I mean, I don't work with a striker generally, so I didn't want to come here and go on down that road.
On your paper drawing up there, the view from on the right side would be looking at the butterfly.
Right, looking straight on.
At the butterfly.
Yeah, it's looking this direction. Right. Yeah, I don't need it on this one. Right, we did both those, right? Yeah, so we're back to the butcher again. Okay, back to the butcher, last time, hopefully. Thank you. Yeah, it's got a little gnarling on it. That's all right. We'll do that after. Maybe.
Take that bit off real quick. Just so it doesn't.
Is it here?
Do you have a sander? Like just a belt sander?
Well,
Try that.
there we go. So these tools are out of 4140. I do use H13, but I stopped using it. Well, on the fly press, I'll use H13 if I have it. I stopped using it for striking tools and power hammer tools because I kept hearing too many stories. And you can't control the hardening and tempering. I can't control it in my environment. So do you?
That's why I generally just like MIG weld. I'll put a bit of sacrificial plate on top and just put a bit of MIG weld.
Oh,
on
up
the
on.
stripe- on the
Oh,
stripe
that's a
instead.
good idea.
Yeah, so you don't shatter.
Oh,
shrapnel your
that's a
car.
great idea.
Yeah, so that's why you generally find welded tops on that.
Oh, okay, cool. Cool, I'll do that. That's awesome. Okay. Okay, bring it down in. Hang on. Okay. Go ahead and go. Go. Go again. Go. Go. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Okay, good. So you can see in this, so this stage we butchered, and we're going to go back and side set it, and you can see in there where it's trying to push into a fold over.
Yeah.
Can you see that? It's pretty apparent. Okay. minute. Hang on, wait. Wait. Up a hair. There you go. Okay. Go. Hang on, wait. Go. 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 One more. Maybe one more. Good.
Are they both the same now?
Yep.
Check either one.
Nope.
Over.
Thank you. Okay, great. Oh. Okay. And that cleans that out. Let's see. Okay. So that's how far we're going to go down. And then, in my shop, what I would do is I would use a flatter under my power hammer to take this down. But since I can't fit tooling under that power hammer, do you want to strike for me? Yeah? Yeah? Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
we're going to heat about 2.5 inches back from the little joint.
From the notch, yeah.
Yep. Okay. You got it? So when I started blacksmithing, and I started working with Mark Asbury, and he's all about tooling. And you know, when I first started, I was like, yeah, I don't want to make tooling. I want to make stuff, you know. But making tooling is super valuable because it's your fingerprints that you're putting in the work. You made the tool. It's you all the way through. And also it teaches you a ton to make your own tooling. And so I work under the power hammer all the time, so I don't usually make top tooling for a striker. So this is my first flatter. I just made it last week. So, but it was super fun, and now I'm like, I want to make a bunch of top tooling, even though, you know, I'll have to make Cullum come out to the shop way more often. Yeah.
Is yours, the striking end, is it soft?
Is it soft? Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I know that much. Yeah, because I make tooling for my power hammer, but it's all metal tooling, and I've used it with a striker before, and it's just deadly on your hand, your wrist. I mean, if you have tongs, which I make tong tooling, that works great. But I just wanted to make, it was an opportunity, so I figured I needed to do it, you know. So we're just going to bring just the width of the flatter down to the level of the butcher.
Okay.
That's it. And just straight down.
Straight down. You're going to be keeping it
Yeah.
edge.
Yeah. I'll try and I might do that with a hammer. I don't know. I never use a striker, so I might go to the hammer. Go.
Close to you.
Oh, okay. Go. 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 Let's heat it up a little more. A little hotter. And we can do both.
If you want to go on the anvil, I can stand on the box.
Okay. Perfect.
Oh, there's that special box.
I'll try and miss it.
Ooh.
You weren't close.
Scotty's box.
We can see the background rotating.
Yeah, same side. So I'm trying to stay off the tender. Okay. Let's see, can we try that? Oh, that's nice. So I just brought it down to the depth of the butcher. Pretty close.
Rest it on the anvil, take a close look.
now let's do the other one.
As soon as it gets hot.
Okay. Okay.
It's getting there.
Yeah, working with a striker is really cool.
Some spot.
Yeah, I don't think it's that.
Yeah, it's not the fire. I mean, not my part.
You don't need the box.
Huh?
You don't need the box.
I don't think
It's a
Monica.
short amble. Okay, let's see if I can stay off. Okay, go. 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 Good. Good. Sorry.
Are we square? I think we might have gone a little bit out of square.
Yeah, we are a little out,
High point.
but that's all right. One more. Okay. Okay, good. All right. Now we're going to take it a little further down. We're going to leave about 3/4 proud.
3/4 of.
Proud on the tenon.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll just take it down.
3/4 of.
Yeah. Go. 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 Okay. Go. 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 Okay. Okay, good. Good. Here. Go. 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 Okay. So we're just working our way down. We want, depending on what you're going to do with the tenon, you just make it as long as you need. Obviously, you would use bigger stock if you're going to do a longer tenon, or you would make a bigger dovetail and then hammer it out. So what I'm doing here is going for about half of the stock for the tenon length itself. Okay, that's good. Go, 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 go. Okay, stop. That's fine. Ready? Go. 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 Okay, good. Go. Good. I'm going to knock this corner.
Yep.
Go. 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 Okay, good. Ah, sorry. I'll say good and give you a minute. Let's try and knock ourselves. One more. Okay, and we're just working our way down. So you can see that the tenons on the risers are on opposite sides, right? So what I'm doing is getting rid of this material and pushing it out, and then I'll do the other tenon on the. That's why I'm only working a little section down. I'm going to spread that out, and then I'll cut it off and work the other tenon on the other side.
Your round tenon is just for holding it?
Yep.
Okay.
That's just for holding it. Yeah, I didn't want to be.
That's part of my confusion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no. That was for light, having something light. Okay, go. 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 Okay, stop. I got to time that better. So. Wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
Knock the handle on a bit.
Oh. Okay, go. Hang on, sorry. Go. 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 One more. Here, go. 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 Probably one more pass, maybe.
It's getting a bit hot. Maybe it's a bit dry. It's a little bit warm.
Oh. So it needs to be.
I don't know.
Why would it be getting hot?
It's close to the metal.
Is the metal hot? Is that hot? Yeah. Design flaw, I'm sure. There we go. 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 Okay, stop. At the next one. Okay. Go. 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 Good. Go. 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 Yeah, it's getting hot.
Yeah.
Go. 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 Good. Go. 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 Straighten that out. Go. One more, go. Okay, good. Okay, so I'm just giving myself room here to get to this side when I'm working the other side. And so I figured out, I do a lot of, is this one ready? Do we have a minute, or should I talk or not? Should I talk or not? Okay. You ready? Guess we got to do kind of a little. Go. Good. Go. 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 Okay. Sorry. Let's get this corner again. All right, go. Go. I need to get the corner again. Go. Go. Go.
Get it?
This. Go. 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 Let's see. Let me take that one out. Will you brush that off for me?
Huh?
Would you brush that for me, please? Okay, so I'm not, what this part is going to become eventually is it's going to taper from, about 5/8 or 3/4 down to 1/4. But right now I'm just trying to get it out of the way so that I can work on the other side of the piece. And then I'll draw the thing out once I get both sides. So we're pretty close to the same size there. And so what's our time frame? Do we know?
I think that's right.
3 o'clock? Okay. Okay. So we'll just refine these even more at this point, because I want to cool them down and cut them off, and yeah, that'll take more. I'd rather do that between sets than. So we'll just do some more striking. If you're game. So when I draw everything first, and I also do volume calculations all the time. I hardly ever do anything without doing volume calculations. And so that's math, it's geometry, it's pretty basic geometry. And what happens for me with it is if I'm creating a taper and I want it to go from 3/4 to 1/4. If I do a volume calculation and I only give myself enough stock to make that taper, then I will make that taper way closer to accurate. If I have just as much stock as I need, I'll tend to make it too big. Because when it seems to me when it's hot, it looks smaller. So I tend to,
So you want to
or maybe,
stretching your
yeah, I think I'm there and I stop. But. And anybody can do those calculations.
Scale.
What?
Do you make any allowance for scaling?
Yeah.
Just a few percent?
Yeah. Yep. I just use it as a baseline,
Right.
so I know. But I always give myself, 15% more or something. Nice. I forgot I was wearing this thing. It's awesome.
N-O.
Yeah.
I guess they drown if they don't have it.
What?
You drowned if you don't have that in New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
Well, I don't know if it's your eyeballs that are sweating or your forehead.
It's like water wings, right?
Yeah. And then you bring it out, you can drink it. That's what keeps you hydrated.
Oh.
And salted.
Yeah, you got electrolytes. You drink electrolytes.
Yeah.
It comes out.
We don't normally get that hot. We get that hot for maybe a week and a half.
Yeah.
Not like you guys. And usually not all at once. Go. 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 Whoa. Go. 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 That's good. All hand, yeah.
It's just that little corner there.
Yeah. I'll just get that with a hand hammer.
Yeah.
Do you have any more questions? Any jokes or anything? Where's Bruce? Where's our joke? Oh no.
Oh, yeah.
Something about an atheist and a no. What?
What happened to the concrete?
Oh, it's right there. I think we need to, let's get that a little bit warmer again. Sorry. I can't hear.
Are you doing much woodwork yet today?
What?
You working with wood very much today?
Nope. Ugh, no.
Have you done wood and metal joinery?
No, but I would like to do that. And wood and stone would be cool too. I mean, metal and stone. Yeah, 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 yeah. That'd be awesome.
Still have your woodworking tools?
No. Still a little. Go. 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 Go.
Too hard?
Go. 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 Let me see this. That one corner just
Yeah.
beating us. Go. 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 Kind of cold. Go. 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 Okay, let me look at that one. I just want to look at the two of them. Can we brush it off?
Well, that got the corner. That got the corner down.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we're looking pretty even. We'll just do one more.
Which one was it?
One more on each, yeah.
So you just want to get like a straight down the narrow edge, so it's going to be parallel all the way down?
Yeah, yeah. So it'll be square. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Yep.
And with the corners, just a light blow on
Yeah.
the corners?
Just a little.
Little.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna hammer them out anyway. Further. So. James needs one of these.
He does.
Do you want to borrow mine?
No.
You'd have to use the other side.
What?
You'd have to use the other side. So Stu, you're Stu, right? So you've been working with Quinn, Pat Quinn? You've been making a bunch of tooling?
Bunch of hammers. Did you make that or that? That made that one. We made the little 6-pounder.
Nice.
I like the 6-pounder a little more for swinging today.
I'll have to come get a tutorial from you.
I'll need a maze out first.
Well, you can just tell me.
There's one up the road, isn't there?
Yeah, that's true. Let's go. All right, let's start there. Go. Go. Go.
Yep.
Go. Light. And then we'll just chamfer. Light, hang on. Okay, we'll call that good. Go. 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 Well, a little. Just a little. How's that compare? Pretty good, huh? Maybe one more right here. Good. I think we're good there, too. You can chamfer this. Okay, good. Okay,
Cool.
So this is where we're going to stop. Another nice thing about having a striker is you have another brain, you know, which is really cool.
Maybe stop you from making a mistake.
Yeah. Oh, totally, yeah. Or maybe causing you a mistake, but it's more fun. So here's what we got. Here's where we're at. And you can see that this part is starting to make that, it's making that shape of the half. Woo, good catch. See? the half butterfly shape. And so I will come back through and make that come all the way back on the stock. And that's just a design decision. I mean, this would work as a tenon as it is with this bar flat. But when you bring that angled shape all the way back, then you get a nice reflection of the joint on the back of the joint.
So, am I right that this part is going to be offset over?
It's going to be, yeah, it's going to be coming this way. That one's going that way, and this one's going to go this way.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Ben.
Yeah.
That was awesome. And thank you all. See you tomorrow at 8. And thank you, James. James is amazing. That was perfect.
Huh?
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yep.